Hey everybody, my name is Josh Gleason. Welcome to my channel. And today we're going to be working in the shop again. Got a nice day outside as seen here, but I got to get this project done. So this project is we're simply adding these nice LED lights to this 5x8 landscape trailer. Should be an easy job, an easy upgrade, and it'll give us some new lights that'll last a lot longer. So to start out with this project, the first thing you're going to want to do is remove the lights. These are kind of falling off anyways, but we're going to remove these bolts, and then we're going to cut the wires so that we can splice the new ones in. So let's get after it. So I got this side off pretty easy, just 2 bolts. These are a little Milwaukee ratchet, but you can use just a regular hand ratchet, and a socket set. These happen to be 10mm bolts that came off of this old light. So that came off really good because I'd put Never-Sees on there before. Always a good idea on stuff that's going to be out in the winter, especially up in the north where we have salt. Always a good idea to put some Never-Sees on bolts like that. Anyways, got that off, and now we're just going to clean up this plate and see how our new light's going to look. So we got our right one. Now I'm going to be honest with you right now in the video, this part of the video. These lights I picked up, they're Blazer lights, kind of says it there. They're by Hopkins Towing Solutions at Tractor Supply. I got them for like $60 I think for this set, but I like the idea of the LEDs, but the only thing I do not like about these lights that I think maybe you guys should get a different brand if you go to buy these, is the whole back is open like that. So that's definitely not gonna be good for like bees and stuff getting in the back of there. So I'm just gonna put when I mount them like this, I'm probably gonna end up putting a steel plate on the back just so that they're closed up. Other than that, I do like how they're low profile, but definitely something to consider if you're gonna put these back in the same position that I have. Definitely look for one that might have a closed back. Anyways, let's get this cleaned up and let's get this light bolted in and wired up. So I got this all cleaned up, just used some denatured alcohol. Now I'm going to open up my kit, and in the kit they send you a nice hardware package. There'll be some bolts in here. Now in this kit it's going to come with, you know, the cheap wire nuts and the cheap, those cheap splice connectors. I never recommend using those because those will always wear out. They will not last long enough, especially if you live in the north like me. They're just not going to cut it. So basically the hardware kit is just to get the bolts, which are just simple 1/4 bolts. You just insert them into the back, just like I have here. Find your nuts for the bolts. Find the washers for the bolts. And let's bolt it up. So here's the washer and the nut for each one. Just slide this with your bolts on the back. Make sure your wire is in the little wire pocket, like this. Slip this in, then just slide those right in there. And then on the back side, which you can't see from this angle, but on the back side, just take your washer, and your nut, and just bolt it down right like that. And I'm going to push this all the way out to the outside. Actually, a little more. All the way, yeah, that's all the way. In order to get this reflector out to the outside edge. And then make it square as I get it. And then we're going to bolt it down. That square. Like that. Here's our 10mm. Put it in forward. And bolt her down. Don't want to go super tight. Oh, there's a little knot. Just tight enough so it's snug. Finish it by hand. That's bolted up. Next, we're going to cut our wires, splice them together, hook our ground up, and then this light will be installed. So I realized that I forgot to put the ground on, so we're going to do that now. Before you tighten one of the bolts, if you're going to use the bolt as a ground, you just want to put this white wire with the terminal underneath one of the bolts. You want to make sure your metal's clean underneath there too, otherwise it won't ground properly. Mine's got never seized and it's pretty clean underneath, so it should work. If it doesn't, I don't know what the problem is. Okay, we're grounded now. Next thing is we're going to cut our wires to length. It's always better to have extra, so I'm just going to try to push the extra back. We're going to get out some butt connectors and just connect these two things. These are the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a crimper like this nice ratcheting crimper, and then you're going to need a simple pair of electrical strippers. So come up to your wires, see where you want to route them. I want to route them just right about there. So I'm going to cut the wires like this, right there, and I'm going to make these the same length too because it's good if they aren't separate lengths. Next, you're going to find the gauge of the wire on your wire stripper. This is about 18 gauge, so I'm just going to do that. And strip off about, that sounded wrong, but take off about 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch. 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch on the other one. Then go over to the other two. Separate these wires out good. Using the wire strippers works pretty easy. Separate them like that. Like so. Right like that. You're going to want to separate them out pretty good in order to get the wire strippers in there. Next, use the wire strippers on these. Again, 3/16 to an inch. Right about there. And right about there. So now we got our wires all stripped. Now I'm going to show you the connectors that I'm going to use. So in my terminal kit here, let me open it up. In my terminal kit, I keep these nice heat treat butt connectors. This is what you're going to want to use. You just crimp it down and then use a lighter or such method to heat shrink or apply heat to this, and the plastic will actually shrink around the wire and keep all the salt and water from getting in there. So I'm going to grab two of these guys and we're going to get this thing wired. So set our butt connectors off the side. This is called a butt connector, by the way. I don't know why, that's just what it's called. So we're going to take one, twist the wire a little bit, put the connector over it like that until all of the wire is inserted into the connector. Use our stripper and just crimp it right down, right like that. And obviously I didn't crimp it enough, so we're going to put it back in there. And we're going to crimp it down just a little bit more. We're going to use the smaller setting on the crimper because these wires are pretty small. That can happen, that's why you always check your wires once you do this. So we're just going to do a little tug test, and that's a better connection. First time I did it, I kind of missed a little bit, and that's why it didn't stick. Next, grab the same wire, brown to brown, green to green, color matched. Makes it a lot easier. Stick it in there like that. Get your crimper, line it up like this, and just send it. You want to just test it, make sure it's a good joint, and then we're just going to repeat that with the green one. Twist the wire a little bit, put the connector on it like this. Crimp it down. And that wasn't a good one again. I gotta make sure with these small wires that you get very small connectors. These are like, I'd say 16 to 18 gauge connectors, and they're still a little big. Make sure it's good. Get our other wire. It's very small wiring with these LEDs. Put it on there. Right like that. And just rinse and repeat, basically. Next in our to-do list here with our wiring, we're going to use a torch set to a very low flame, even lower than this. Right about there, just a very small flame. You always want to be careful in the shop using open flame. It's highly dangerous if you have gasoline vehicles with fumes around. So always be careful with using open flame. On a trailer, there's obviously there shouldn't be any fuel leaks or anything because it doesn't have an engine. But if you're working on a car electrical system, definitely use a heat gun and not open flame. So you just want to heat these up until they get clear and the glue kind of solidifies, melts, and then solidifies. Just want to heat those up right like that without lighting them on fire or burning them. Get both of them really good. And then those are going to be set, and they'll be a very reliable, good connection that'll last many years. Now we're just taping them up after they've cooled. And you just want to be very gentle with them, but they're much more durable connectors than the standard ones that you get in the kit. Just tape them up good. Kind of keep the water off of them. You don't want to go too crazy and waste a bunch of tape. We also want to protect them good. So I'm going to get them a little bit there without cutting myself. Hitting it on the corner there. Just going to get a little piece of tape up in there a little better. And then this side will be pretty much done. Like that. Just wrap it up good. Like that. And I'm actually going to put the excess kind of up in there a little ways. Right, like that. And then we're going to just attach this with a zip tie. Well, can't find my zip ties. But anyways, patch that with zip tie. This side's pretty much done. Now the one thing I'm going to say about this is with this design, let me bring in a little closer. Magnet mount. With this design, there's this open back, which is a terrible design for a light. I mean, junk's going to get in there and everything. So I really don't like that design of the light, so I recommend getting one that has a back to it, especially if you're mounting it like this. But when you do decide to... Sorry, you're sideways there. When you do decide if you get these and you have the same issue, what I'm going to do to fix that is I'm just going to get a piece of steel that covers up the back of this and kind of protects it a little bit. That way it's kind of a little more durable than the last one that I had. So that's my how to do video. I stumbled on that for some reason. So that's my how-to video on how to install a LED light like this on a trailer. Now we're going to plug it and test it out, and if you do this for the second one, you'll be all set to be on the road and have good lights for many years to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.